You know, we were made in God's image and likeness. And if God is a creator, then that must mean that we, in some ways, are creators as well. It means that we were born to love and to create. And so, if you can understand how to create and what is creation and the mechanics behind it, then you get an insight into your divine nature. So that's why I've titled this video, How to Create Anything You Want. And the first important thing that I would like to highlight is that you actually have to want it. You actually have to want it. A lot of the time, we are trying to create things that we don't really want, right? So here we are with our minds, with our brains, and society plants images in our mind. These are worldly images, right? Images from the world. That means cars. It could be riches, anything. It doesn't really matter, but it's images from the world. It's been artificially created. It's been manufactured. Now, if we think that we want something that we don't really want, it is going to be very hard for our souls, our hearts, our minds, our wills to actually follow through on it. And so a lot of people go about their lives struggling and suffering, unable to achieve what they think they want. When in fact, the key is not more discipline, not more motivation, not more stress and worries and locking in, right? I know a lot of the boys talk about locking in, it's time to lock in. No, rather, it might be time to actually listen in. In fact, what if we listen to what God was telling us? What if we prayed and meditated before we set a goal or wanted to create something? What if we were informed divinely by God what we should create in life, how we can serve Christ? You know, what if we started from inside out? Well, I tell you what, it would be a whole lot easier because the foundations of working with God, the foundations of God's will in your own life makes things much easier to create. Because if God is on your side in what you're creating, who could be against you? Who could be against you? That's actually something that my uncle says a lot. He's really awesome with that. Anyway, so first things first, we're going to flip it on our head. We're actually going to cast away the goals and the things that we'd like to create, that we think we'd like to create. And we're going to go deep within. We're going to listen. And what are we listening for? It's very simple. Desires, just gentle desires, things that you'd find fun, a hankering of some sort, something that you'd gently desire, almost like a child, very innocent. Like, you got to get innocent with this. Like, what would be fun? Dancing in a musical, right? Or what would be really cool? Selling cakes at a cake store, or getting a job at this place that I really like and looks really cool. So you get that simple hankering, right? A simple desire. And what happens is that as it takes root in you, everything else starts to clear out. And this is the power of creation. It's the big old C word, right? It's clarity, right? You start getting really clear. Because before, you're unclear and you're unconnected and there's no fuel behind your goal, right? So you've got nothing really set in your life. You don't really know where you're going, right? And you're getting upset because you're not hitting some subconscious target that the world has programmed into you. And like things are weird and you start beating yourself up, telling yourself you need to lock in, right? And also you think that creating this goal or doing this thing is going to make you happy, so you're like weirdly dependent on it. You've stripped yourself of the happiness and the gratitude that you have with the Lord. You've thrown away the covenant and you're just there stuck and suffering alone in the world. Well, in this new form of creation, it's about getting really clear and understanding that your goals aren't going to make you happy, right? And your goals don't mean anything of your value. It's just a fun thing you get to do. It's a game that you get to do. And ultimately, it has no real stakes. What really has stakes is your relationship with God and your soul and who you are in this world. This is just a game. And you start realizing that's just a game. All of a sudden, there's a lot less pressure. You feel peaceful, you feel good in your mind. And all of a sudden, your mind is free to get really clear And the thing about a clear mind is that it is powerful. If everything collapsed into one thought at a time, one undivided thought at a time, then you would create with exceptional speed and exceptional power. But the problem is, in our minds, we have a million different directions. We've got a million different images and conflicting thoughts going on, right? And it's a very, very messy place and foggy place to be. So, what are we doing? We're taking all this, we're collapsing all the possibility, and we're settling down, and we're committing to one thing, right? One thing at a time. And when you have one thing, it means you have one command. You command yourself, and you go ahead and you start creating it. Very powerful stuff. When you have one thing in mind and you're working towards one thing, and nothing's holding you back, nothing's pulling you back from creating, you are just out there taking actions. Now, another part of the equation is that you are not creating alone. You're creating in life. Like, if you think about it, we don't just create in isolation. We create for others. We create with others. We create to serve others. We create an artwork so people can see it and maybe be shocked by it. And we create artwork to interact with ourselves and change ourselves, right? We create businesses to serve others. We create families for the togetherness. It's all about people. And so you're not just creating in isolation, you're really co-creating. It means that you're in a world with God, you're serving the Lord, and you're here with God's children, and you are interacting with them. You're moving in this world, and you're interacting with God's children. Okay? And so that means that everything you put out into the world, it goes into a network, it goes into the earth, it goes into society, it goes into what God has created, and it comes back, and you get feedback, right? And what's going to happen is that God will start moving things in your life and in your world. It's going to look miraculous, it's going to look strange, but you've aligned yourself with God's will, which is the way that the universe is working, and you've taken a step forward. Now you have new thoughts, you have new beliefs. What you once thought was impossible has become possible. In fact, possible and impossible, it means nothing to God. It just all gets stripped down to the next step and the next step and the next step. And what happens is that slowly over time, you put more form into the world. What's happening inside you is being translated into your hands and into the world. And what is inside you is starting to appear to what is outside of you. And you are starting to change as the world is changing with you. Every time you take an action, your beliefs change, your identity changes, everything shifts, and you affirm what God's will is for you. Now, it's really important that this isn't taken too seriously. You need to have it be a fun process or a joyful process. And you need to recognize as well that there's going to be challenges. You see, challenges are the ways that we grow. And growth is this great and grand thing that we get to experience here on planet Earth. It is an amazing thing. We get to get better and better and better. And growth becomes a really, really fun game when we realize that it's got nothing to do with our happiness, our competence level, our, satisfaction or anything like that. That has nothing to do with our happiness and our inner peace. Rather, our peace is something that we share with God. It's something where we have gratitude for. It's something that is innately there. The goal is just for fun. What if all your goals and all your visions were just for fun? What if working was just for fun, right? And the cool thing about this game is you get rewarded, right? You get rewarded for this game. It might be in wealth. It might be in good relationships. It might be in a healthy body. Whatever you do, whatever challenges you overcome, you get rewarded. And here's the thing. If you read Job, it's one of the books in the Bible, Job did everything right. Job did everything right. And yet God stripped him of everything. And in that time, Job had to remain faithful. Job had to move beyond, right? This kind of cause and effect reality. This reality where it's all about you, it's all about working. And Job had to put his faith in God. And in the end, God rewarded him. God gave him all that he wanted and more. God multiplied his riches and, brought him a new family. It was incredible what happened there. And like Job, we actually one day be taught to be free of our cause and effect relationship. And that is one of the biggest blessings that you can be given from God. To realize that the things of the world have not as much import as your faith and your connection to God. And what does that look like practically? Say you're not a Christian or a Catholic and you don't really know what I'm talking about. Well, essentially, if you were to take your time to clear your mind and meditate and have an empty mind and be one with nature, be one with everything, and you were just to throw everything out of your mind, it would be that peace that you feel when you're there, but you're not even really there, right? You're just present, fully present. And that's true prayer. And that's true connection with God. Connection with God isn't about you telling him everything and always talking back and forth. Sometimes it's about purely listening and hearing what is brought up. Because I think we do a great job of speaking all the time and sending out commands, right? And always yapping, we're always yapping. But we almost never take time to listen to God or listen to life or listen to our heart, whatever way you want to put it. And so this is how you create anything that you want in the world. It involves getting really clear, taking action steps towards that thing, and just clearing your mind of any attachments to whether it works out or not. And I think that's a really powerful frame to be living in life. God bless you. Have a good day.